Hello and welcome to Chart Your Financial 7-Week Workshop Webinar. I'm your host, Dr. Pamela Ellis, and I am a licensed and appointed financial and health consultant with World Financial Group and WealthWave, LLC. I work within our network of more than 140 financial and health organizations. Many of us have come to know at various stages of our lives the programs, plans, and products that have provided health and life and retirement benefits for our families, businesses, and community, as well as for ourselves. Wherever we are in life, we continue to ask ourselves important questions that encompass our ability to have a prosperous life, quality health care, and an honorable legacy for our family and charitable organizations. The WealthWave 7 money milestones were developed for individuals and, by extension, families and businesses, equipping all who want to achieve financial security, independence, and the ability to navigate life's financial twists and turns with a solid education roadmap foundation. WealthWave and the How Money Works Company believe in making sure that you have expert guidance, peace of mind, and tailored strategies. Our solution is shown in our different resources that we provide. And as we know in our country, there is a financial illiteracy crisis. And our company is making sure that people have the resources that they need. We have our phenomenal top-rated book series, as well as our websites, our podcasts, our webinars, and a multitude of types of resources working with financial professionals to ensure that you have everything in place. The 7 money milestones is your roadmap for financial security and independence. And in our Chart Your Financials webinar, we have already completed milestone number 1, which is financial education and working with a financial professional. So we know the importance of both of these areas. And we went over this along with our budgeting, as well as other types of methods that you could use in terms of making your appointment with the financial professional that invited you, so that you can have in place the base camp, which is the beginning of charting your wealth trajectory to the pinnacle of wealth accumulation. So we started there, and then the next week we went over proper protection, and we talked about how if you don't have the proper industry standard contracts in place, then you are going to be disadvantaged and you're going to lose money and you're not going to save money. And week 3, we talked about milestone number 3, which is the emergency fund. And here we talked about if you don't have your emergency fund, you're going to look for other ways to take care of unexpected expenses. You don't have a buffer zone. So we're looking at 3 to 6 months or more of emergency income that you should have in a high interest savings account, as an example, or other financial vehicles. But you want to make sure that you're not using that emergency fund for anything but for emergencies. And so it's so important because if you do have an unexpected expense, you don't want to use your credit cards and then have high interest rates and losses. So that is why we talked about that importance. So then the next week we talked about debt management, and we reviewed ways to manage debt. We listed all the different methods that you can use to manage your debt. And this week we're at milestone number 5, which is cash flow. And here we're going to talk about how to earn additional income and more about managing your expenses. Milestone number 6 will be covered on August the 6th, and that is build wealth. And on Wednesday, August the 13th, our last money milestone, and our final review is to protect wealth. So we will be going over all of these, and the milestones are interrelated. So if you miss one of our group webinars, I can personally review the milestone with you that you missed, as well as send you our book, which provides information as well. So this again talks about the importance of financial professionals, and there are different types of financial professionals out here, obviously, and we want to know that you're serious about everything that we're doing. And so if we work to put you in a industry standard contract, and then you have an emergency, and then you aren't able to honor that contract. So some financial professionals don't even want to talk to people unless they know they're serious. Okay, so I guess that's all people want to know, that you're serious about your financial planning and your future. So that's really important, that this is that critical for you, for all of us to know that we're spending time with you so that you will honor what you say you want to do. So it's really critical and important. So today, as we look at what does it mean to increase your cash flow and earn additional income and manage your expenses. So with WealthWave, we have the statistics, the numbers, and we know that 45% of U.S. workers have a side gig right now. And they're earning an average of $1,122 per month. And another statistic we have is that 1/3 of Americans say they need a side gig to pay their expenses. So if we kind of round that up to $1,200 per month, we would be looking at about $300 per week. And so you have to look at this and say, you know, people really are relying on this part-time work. And not only part-time work, but full-time work, because some people don't even have the full-time employment that they need and want. So it's really serious, that what we're experiencing. And so we're looking at our families, our communities, and we need to have the answers to make sure that we have cash flow. And the other 2 big moves that we talk about is how to start a business, to how do you become an entrepreneur, and how do you do it from a part-time basis and leverage your hours outside of your day job to transition to full-time business. And the third big move that we talk about is the importance of tax advisors, okay? You do need a tax advisor. So you look at your W-2s, and you're able to determine if you can take deductions that you're not taking it. So you have more money on a monthly basis. You don't want the IRS to have your money all year long. You can use that money on a monthly basis and increase your cash flow. And I'm going to my next slide here, just giving me a little bit of a difficulty, but it's going to work here. Okay, so based on your education and your financial situation, what are the top part-time jobs? And how do you use your information to acquire one of the jobs that you need to increase your monthly income? And it's basically your effort and your network helping you to attain part-time employment, or full-time employment. And I know in my network, we have a lot of success with these three. So I just have these out here to recommend that you can try out to see if you have success as well. But I work with people, and these are the groups that I work with on a very much often basis, I would say, because I've had success with them in terms of interviews for people, getting the interviews, getting the employment, and you put the information in there as to what type of job works for your situation and your education. So definitely ZipRecruiter.com. I've used them very successfully. Simply Hired and LinkedIn.com. So you designate the type of employment that you want and the location that you want. If it's whatever city you're in or you're interested in, and then you have an account and you talk with your family and friends about what you're doing, and then they can help you look for jobs in that area as well. I do send out jobs to people that I know that are looking in my network. I know, as an example, a young person who just graduated with a computer science degree, and I send them out jobs every week. And I encourage them, as an example, because even though you have all this education, it's not easy. Some people have been out of jobs for a year, as we know. So if they don't have the network and the support that they need, then they're going to be disappointed and disillusioned. And you have to be there for your family and your friends, for your community. So you can help them find positions. If you already have the position that you want, I strongly recommend that you help somebody else, and that will uplift everyone. So it's really important that you do spend the time and make an account and look for different types of jobs. And then, as we talked about businesses, what businesses are needed? What knowledge, skills, and abilities do you have? And how much of a financial investment is needed for you to begin a business, to create a business? Have you developed a business plan? And there's ways to do that we can help you with, and also with the different groups that help with business planning, as well as grants and low interest rate business loans from various sources, and our government, corporate, and nonprofit organizations that help to position businesses in the community that you want to serve. We have some tips here that increase cash flow quickly and basically, when we talked about budgeting in milestone number 1, we talked about the importance of a budget. And that's a part of your financial education on a monthly basis. You have to know how much money is coming in and what your expenses are, and then prioritize your 50-30-20 rule as an example with budgeting, and differentiate between need and want. So that's a practice that you have to do, and you have to look at your budgeting, and that's what we did. We said, okay, we're in July, and we're comparing what we did in July with what we did in June. And did we cut out a lot of the different expenses that we could? We identified expenses, and that increases our cash flow now for the upcoming month in August. So all of these game plans, we're developing these game plans in our head and then we write them down. So we have a system so that we can spend less of the money that we earn in order to save and invest on a monthly basis, more and more. So we're looking at ways to spend less on our car and our home insurance. And that's how we can do that, is to consider higher deductibles so that we have lower monthly premiums. And we also look at how to allocate our savings. And we talked about how low interest savings accounts is not something that we want to keep our money in to earn the highest rates. We want to earn in high interest saving vehicles. So we talked about how we can do that, and we looked at various types of accounts. We also talked about dropping our private mortgage insurance and making sure we know the difference between mortgage life insurance and mortgage insurance that is where the lender is the one who is provided that protection, as opposed to mortgage life insurance where the principal owner is the person paying for it, and then you're also the heir, your family's the heir of that life insurance. So you have to know the different types of insurance and what's going to benefit you. The main question that we're asking is, how do you have more cash flow? So we're looking at August, and we're saying, okay, so this is the end of July 30th, and we're going into August. So, we want to know how do we have more cash flow in 2025, 2026, and beyond than we had in 2024. So the importance of discretionary income. And here I'm equating the fact that if you don't have a monthly budget created, you're not going to really have that discretionary income. So you need to ask yourself, have you identified and eliminated from your budget that you have created all of the unnecessary monthly expenses? Then you have to ask yourself, do you have a known amount? It could be a small amount or a large amount. Is it designated and allocated for proper protection, emergency fund savings, retirement, and stated financial goals, savings, and investment? Okay, and just having a little difficulty here advancing here to the next slide, but it is coming shortly. Okay. We know that the average American has $28,900 in personal debt, and that's not including mortgages. And over half of Americans suffer from anxiety related to their debt. So we have these tips that we recommend to eliminate and to stay out of debt. And this does increase your cash flow. So knowing what you owe and making sure you have no late payments whatsoever. And we talked about the importance of targeting one debt at a time. And we talked about the snowball type of plan strategy as opposed to the avalanche strategy, where you're paying the largest debt at a time with the avalanche and the smallest debt at a time with the snowball effect. And I like this graphic here because it's scissors cutting up credit cards, okay? And you have to stop charging. And we were talking about if you don't have the money, don't spend the money. And that's so important. If you cannot buy something and pay it off before the end of the month, then you don't need to buy that. And that's what we're talking about in order to lower debt, because debt is what consumer debt is the type of debt that causes you to not have the income to save in advance, and you need to cancel any unused subscription. And it's really important to consider how you can do that. I have subscriptions, group subscriptions, and like 7 people in my family, and I know there's like different numbers that you can have for different platforms out there. So it's ways to save, and just save with your family and friends, households on subscriptions, and keep each other accountable and cut those out as much as you can. We also talked about how refinancing your mortgage is an option to get lower payments monthly. And there's other more targeted ways to work with mortgage as well, to with insurance, to lower your monthly expense. And that way you will have additional cash flow for that month. Okay, and so let me go here. So I've covered streaming services, how you can have other people to hold you accountable with streaming services, and you have a group, you can just know which streaming services you have and you don't have. A lot of times one family member will start a streaming service and you start a streaming service, so you're paying double. So you have to be aware of that with family and friends. And late fees, no late fees, no overcharge fees, and credit card debt, no, and credit report errors. So you have to check those routinely and make sure that you establish good financial habits. So why don't people reach their financial goals? And we're looking at several reasons. And one of the reasons, as I mentioned, is consumer debt, business debt, interest payments that don't allow saving to accumulate. And so there's no discretionary income. And you can't invest, and you can't yield wealth accumulation. That really is one of the top reasons why people cannot reach their goal. And people don't have a thought out plan. They don't have a written financial plan. And reason number 3, uninsured losses. Okay, so the number 1 reason for bankruptcy is medical bankruptcy, and they have a health expenses they cannot afford and it's not a covered. Or if they have a medical, not only medical, but there's all these other types of health expenses. So your dental, your disability, your life, property, and business insurance. So you need to be properly protected in all of the different areas. So we want to think about our mindset, you know, and here's the mindset of a wealth builder. A wealth builder tells their money where to go every month. They don't wonder where did my money go. They already know where it went because they have all of it in place. They have a budget, they can see it. So that's the first thing you have to do, is to tell your money where to go. And then you have to prioritize your spending habits. Okay, some things are more important than others. What are your real needs that you really need as compared to just what's out there? Okay, what do you really need? And how can you save? So we talk a lot about, I hear people that I network with are saying, I'm not going to do the specialty coffees every day. I'm going to save tons of money, and that way I can invest more every month. So the specialty coffees, the teas, the smoothies, as an example, at the coffee shops and the high price restaurants. And there's so many examples of things that we can say, this really is not my priority. I can make these at home, and I can make more dinners at home, and so I don't have to give all my money to the coffee shops and the restaurants, as an example. So therefore, you're able to have that amount of money that that exact amount that you put into a financial saving account, an investment account. So you're looking at your short-term goals, your midterm and long-term goals. So short-term is up to about 3 years, and your midterm up to about 7, and long-term after 7 to a longer period. And then you can see from month to month how your personal wealth is increasing. And you have a right diverse financial accounts for your lifetime wealth portfolio, which is going to be updated over time, but you can see what you have at present and you can make updates. And people don't have financial plans in the United States. There's so many people that don't have what we're talking about here today. And here's one example, that 75% of women do not have a plan to reach their financial goals, including retirement. And this was a report by Think Advisor, that women lack men in retirement confidence with a financial literacy survey. So, and for men, the number is 67%. So people need to know about financial literacy, financial planning, and work with a financial professional who is studying this and taking exams and making sure they understand it so that they can help you know and keep updated with all of this information and have all of the industry standard contracts in place. We know that according to the U.S. Census Bureau, that women are earning only 82 cents for every dollar earned by a man. So it's really critical that women understand this. If you see that you're making less money, and that's a concern, and we need to advocate for the equality in terms of our salaries. So we need to be really focused on how do we handle our money as women and everyone. Women of color earn significantly less than white men, with Black women making about 64 cents and Hispanic women earning around 57 cents for every dollar earned by white non-Hispanic men. And this is from the report by AmericanProgress.org. The median annual earnings for men, $61,180, and for women, $51,226. So we're talking about a $10,000 difference here every year. And we know that over a 40-year career, this is $400,000. So this is very serious and critical for us to understand, to know about it, and to make sure that we implement our financial plan, working with our family and our communities nationwide to improve our outcomes, our financial outcomes for ourselves, our families, and for the community. We need to make a plan and then follow that plan weekly, monthly, biannually, yearly. And here, the short-term, medium-term, long-term planning, okay, this is another graphic of it. And the number one financial regret for women, as an example, is there was no investment, or there was very small investment. So we should not have any financial regret. We have to start today. Today is the time to begin, as we say so often with our planning. But for some reason, there's the procrastination, but we don't want to do that. So it has to be done. It has to be done today, this week, this month, for our own financial outcome. So we need to make that relevant decision making. And what's more important than taking care of ourselves and our families and our community? So we need to do it. The time is now. You've done everything right. You've gone to high school, you've gone to college, and you want to live your best life and have your best legacy. So you can do it if you have it all budgeted. You can have that transportation, that housing, those getaways, and all of the great things that you should enjoy, as long as it's budgeted. So you can do it. And so that's something that you work to do along with professionals. And this is our money discovery worksheet. And we help you to organize your thoughts and to state and write your goals and answer your questions, making sure that you have all of the right plans in place, understanding the difference in terms of taxation and how much money you have in your retirement and your entire financial life. So that's our process. And this is my contact information here. And as you can see, we are really well known throughout the United States with all the top media, all of the books and all of the resources that we provide so that you can be well informed about your cash flow, all of the 7 money milestones. So next week, we will go over building wealth. And then on August the 13th, we'll be going over protect wealth. And these are our money milestones. And so now we'll look to see what questions you have. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Okay, thank you. I see some of my sisters from Sisters Network here. I appreciate you being here. Yes, thank you. And everyone, I appreciate that you're here in support of helping yourself and your family and community be a part of this process of education. And that's what we're about. And we want to be supportive of each other and help you achieve your financial success, your independence, and your security. So get that life lock on your dream. And we'll see you at the next Chart Your Financials 7 Money Milestones webinar next week. Take care.